and welcome to the 195, the Cooking Edition. I am your host, Christine Drynan, and I'm the founder of Galavante, and I'm also the person who is making my way to all 195 countries in the world. On our regular show, you'll see us on the ground in these beautiful destinations experiencing culture and food. But you don't have to travel to be able to experience a country. We're bringing it all home to you through the 195, the Cooking Edition. And today we are continuing to cook our way throughout the world to the country of Albania. I was in Albania last year, and before I went to Albania, I had all of my European friends from the Balkan region, which are the neighbors of Albania in southeastern Europe, ask me why the heck I was going to Albania. Well, besides the fact that I'm going to all 195 countries, I was really curious about Albania because I really hadn't known many people who had been there, and I think the only Albanian I met was this girl who was once Miss Albania. So I was curious. I was in the neighborhood sort of when I was in Vienna, and I took this opportunity to also go to Northern Macedonia, which is one of the neighbors of Albania, and so why not? And I have to say, I had such an incredible time because I hung out the entire time with local Albanians, and they showed me around their city, which was amazing, and we all had a laugh about it because that Liam Neeson movie, Taken, of course it's Albanian gangsters, and everyone was always like, oh, it's so dangerous in Albania, it's so dangerous in Tirana. And yes, perhaps it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, but today Albania is one of the most up-and-coming destinations. And the national dish is Tave Kosi, which is this really interesting lamb and rice and yogurt dish that everyone eats. And then there's also some amazing burek, which is also something that's a regional specialty, but Albania has their own. What I really liked was a homemade dish that you're not going to find on any restaurant menu. It is a dish called pasticcio, which is something that your mother would make you just as a home-cooked meal, and it's really simple. There is pasta, normally it's spaghetti or whatever you have in your cupboards. What I did was I emptied out all my random pastas that I have laying around, and I just combined it all together in one. It is milk. I use almond milk in mine, oat milk in mine. We have some feta cheese, which is very common, some butter, some eggs, and some Parmesan cheese that you can sprinkle on top. But really, this is a dish that your mother would make you, and she would just throw whatever was available in there. And I really like how simple this whole dish is because you make it in one bowl. So we're gonna start, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my time when I was in Albania while we're doing this. This is the butter. I'm gonna take a little bit of this butter. Recipes, of course, are going to be on Galavante. I'm using about 2 tablespoons, but it really just depends on how much your pasta cooks up. And this is their version, really, of the mac and cheese, though it's much simpler than the neighboring countries. They have pasticcio in Greece. You can do some fancy bechamel sauce, but the Albanians have had a really rough and very interesting time in history that I imagine when they were making this, it was just because that's all that really was available. So anyway, what I did was I buttered the bottom of the pan with about 1 tablespoon of butter because we don't want this to stick. And you're just going to combine everything into the bowl. First, what we're going to do is we are going to combine the milk. And I preheated the oven to 375 degrees. And we're gonna pop it in there for about 40 minutes, and then we're gonna take this top off and let it brown for another 5, or I might even stick it in the broiler. As simple as that. It's been about 35 minutes, and it's about now that we need to start to beautify this dish. And so this is no offense to any Albanian moms, but there's nothing that attractive about this to me that it makes me want to eat it. So we're gonna Galavante this a little bit, and we're gonna add some toasted gluten-free breadcrumbs that I toasted up with a little bit of fresh parsley. And we are also going to add a little bit of paprika because I like some color to the dish. Otherwise it looks pretty bland. But otherwise it's relatively traditional. And let's see. Add this on the top. while Albania was never a part of Yugoslavia, there is a lot of crossover here in this Balkan region with cultures and influence. The Germans were in Albania, the Italians were in Albania. Before I pop this back in the oven, I want to show you, because there is a big difference, and how you present your food actually makes a difference in how people perceive the taste of it. So while we're going to be doing fairly traditional recipes on Galavante, we're always going to add a little Galavante twist. So after 35 minutes, I've added these little extras in, and now we're going to put this back into the oven. We are not going to cover it this time, and we are going to let this bake, not broil, but bake under 375 for another 8 minutes or so, and then we are going to broil so it gets that nice little crunch on top. It took a lot more time to cook this than it actually did to make this. It took us like, what, 5 minutes together to make this, and after we baked it for 40 minutes and then we broiled it for another 5 minutes, we have this beautiful kind of crunchy top, a little browned in some areas, but I don't know about you, I love the brown bits. And we're gonna let this sit just for a couple more minutes, just so it kind of comes together and we can cut it into slices. But I thought it'd be fun to do some famous people who come from Albania. And the most famous person, in my opinion, is Mother Teresa. So, I mean, who can beat or top Mother Teresa? But besides Mother Teresa, we also have the Belushis. I grew up in Wheaton, which is a suburb of Chicago, and so they are also Western suburbanites, and so the Belushi brothers were also really big. I saw Dua Lipa was also part Albanian, or from Kosovo, which is also in the region there. So she has Albanian roots. I remember the name of the Miss Albania. Her name is Angela Martini. I had brunch with her a couple of years ago, so she's a famous Albanian. And Alicia Dushku, who is also another famous Albanian. So Albania has some famous people who have come out of there. Who knew? And it's like a beautiful, just homey, warm meal that you can have on any given night. Totally no frills, but I have a feeling that the ROI is going to be pretty high on here. Oh, not disappointed. We did not even add any additional salt to this dish. We actually just salted the pasta. And when you salt your pasta appropriately, you never need to add additional salt. I could see why the Albanians like to eat this at home. Thank you so much for joining us on the 195, the cooking edition. We are going to be back cooking our way through the entire 195 countries. We can't wait for you to join us in the next destination.